Greetings and welcome to Pickled Watermelon Rinds, a guilty pleasure podcast featuring Antie Joan and Ontie, providing our zesty and marginally mature take on current events, pop culture, and trends. Now we invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy. Hello, Antie Joan.
Hi, Auntie.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. How about your own self?
Oh, just fine, thanks.
You're welcome.
We had a little bit of fun last weekend.
Yes, we did.
We had you and the family up to my house for a little Oktoberfest. Guten Tag.
As my father would sing, Ach, du liebe Augustine, dish machine, wash machine. Yeah,
Wash
that was my
machine is
dad's.
English.
Huh?
Wash machine is English.
I know that was his
Oh.
joke. Ach, du liebe Augustine, dish machine, wash machine, because, yeah.
You're dead funny. Your dad's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I wore my, was it called a dirndl?
A dirndl, yeah.
Dirndl. I got that from the Amazon. I surprised everybody. I didn't tell anybody that I bought it.
It was a hit. Everybody
silly.
loved it.
It was quite silly. I had my hair in pigtails. And yeah, that was fun, and played some Oktoberfest music, lots of pop pop and polka music, and that was a bigger hit than I ever dreamed was going to be.
Me too. Well, and of course you had Marcia. Boy, she just kept dancing the whole day.
She just loves it.
Yeah, even I danced with her.
You did, and I didn't know that until I saw the pictures afterwards, and Killian was apparently howling at you guys too.
Oh, was he? See,
well, at least it looked like it in the picture. I don't know.
Forking out making it rain, the dollar bills.
That's right. That's right. Good food. We had some pork, spare ribs, and sauerkraut.
My gosh.
And then I made vegan spare ribs and sauerkraut for me, and had German potato salad. Then we had potato soup. And we had nuts and cheese and crackers. We had soft pretzels. And Antie Joan made some delicious cabbage rolls.
Vegan.
And she veganized them for me, which was so sweet.
Yes.
They were quite good. Quite good with lentils.
That's what that's what you get when you follow the recipes, broken cabbage leaves.
Oh, it was fine with me. I told you. I don't know how you got way more patience to try and roll cabbage than I do.
Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah.
Not me.
I thought they were okay. But
just okay?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I was overwhelmed by the sauerkraut and spare ribs. Those were so good.
So easy, but so good.
Oh,
that's a throwback. I used to make that quite a bit when I was a meat eater.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I don't know where I saw the recipe the first time, and I was like, well, that's easy. I'm going to make that. And then I'm like, good God, this is easy. And man, does this taste good.
It's a sauerkraut.
It's a sauerkraut. Yes. Yeah.
Are you going to put the recipe out there for some of us?
Oh, sure.
Because I think yours have tasted better than mine. And you did not put potatoes in it. Now, did you usually put potatoes in?
The recipe actually calls for it, but I knew we were having the German potato salad.
Okay, yeah.
So I said no to that. I thought about putting carrots in. I thought that might have been a nice little tasty addition, but then I said, no, I'm going to make it. Now, back in the day when I would make it, when I was a meat eater, I never put potatoes in it. That wasn't part of the recipe I had. No.
Oh. How about onions? Did you put onions in?
Nope.
No?
Nope. Always just been sauerkraut and pork. And this recipe actually added some spices. My original recipe just added caraway seeds if they weren't already in the sauerkraut. I think that was it. And olive oil just to kind of, help it brown a little bit. Nice. And so I did put olive oil in the one I made last weekend. And then I think they called for paprika, onion powder, and garlic powder, I think. But they also called for salt. And I'm like, no, I'm not adding any more salt. You're crazy. Sauerkraut has plenty of salt, and that will season the meat just fine. And you just put the sauerkraut in the bottom of the pan. You you don't have to cut up the pork into individual pieces like I did, but 2 to 3 pieces each would be fine as well. I did them I had the butcher do them individually for me to make it less touch time for me with raw meat. That has always grossed me out. Yeah, and you just put it on top of the sauerkraut. Like I said, my original recipe was just drizzle with some olive oil. That would have been it. You bake it for an hour and 30 minutes at 390 degrees, and then you take it out, flip over each of the ribs, and then put it back in the oven uncovered for the last 30 minutes so it browns a little bit more. That's it.
So 2 hours.
2 hours total bake time. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And your recipe does not use apples. And when I wanted to make some for my own self a couple months ago, a lot of the recipes I saw, they said to put in like apple slices or whatever, because I think it just kind of tones down the bite of the sauerkraut. But you didn't need it in the stuff you made.
The key is definitely covering with aluminum foil for the first hour and 30 minutes tightly so it all steams and all that. And then it's just the last 30 minutes that it gives it the browning capabilities. But it just makes the pork and it always did in the past, and sounds like from last weekend it did it as well. It just falls right off the bone. And,
yeah.
And I just used St. Louis style pork spare ribs from the Whole Foods because they were on sale. There you go.
You mean you didn't go to a fancy butcher to buy the top of the crop spare
Whole
ribs?
Foods is enough for that. I don't even know where there is a butcher like that, honestly.
There's one in Longmont, I think, but I don't know about other.
I have no idea. Anytime I got something from a butcher shop, I never liked it. It just didn't either come out the way that it did with other stuff that I had done or whatever. There was one butcher place meat place in Westminster that I think one time I got flank steak. It was the worst I had ever made flank steak in my life. And it was a recipe I'd made before, and it always came out tender and wonderful. And I don't know what the hell they gave me, but I was like, this is terrible.
Wow.
So never went back there. Although there's one near Auntie Mary's house where she gets like twice baked potatoes and stuff. She gets all her meats from there. I forget the name of that one.
Butcher Frank or something
like that. Yeah. That, I mean, I always liked twice baked potatoes back when I was eating that kind of stuff. All their meats always tasted fine. I didn't notice any difference, but that was it.
And the German potato salad that was yummy. Yummy.
So
yours was good too.
Oh my God, so good. Brought me right back to childhood. My aunt used to make German potato salad, and I always really liked that. And my mother always, I don't know why she doesn't just make regular potato salad. And I'm like, well, I like this one. That's why. It's delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. I owe Anne a text just to tell her that I finished it, and it was just as good and delicious and wonderful.
The apple strudel you made, stunning.
That was a combination of an apple strudel recipe and something I saw on the Facebook. And I rolled them individually in puff pastry to make them look like flowers. The apples peek out of the puff pastry, and it looks like flowers when you bake it. Although I thought it was really dense. I still don't exactly know. It was fine to bite into, like, picking it up like a donut or something. But to cut it with a fork, I thought it was hard to cut it, and it shouldn't have come out that way. Puff pastry is usually very flaky. So I don't know what I did. I don't know what happened there. And it was a pain in the ass. So I told everybody at the party that, take pictures now because you're never going to see these again. And look, they made it so easy on the Facebook. And I was like, I could do that.
They were so yummy. And Hugh's apple cake was really good.
I'm glad.
I have to say. Yes, indeedy.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
No.
Good time.
Good times. But the cabbage rolls now, here's what happened with me.
Yeah.
The recipe did not say to blanch the cabbage before you try to get the leaves off. And I thought, okay, everybody's going to think I didn't read the recipe right. But I did. And the way she wrote it, it was like you take the leaves off. My pot only holds about 3 leaves at a time. So what does that tell you? That tells you that she's putting the leaves in individually from the cabbage and then taking those out and then putting 3 more in. So that told me it was raw. So that's what I did. And I don't think I got one full leaf out without it splitting or tearing or whatever. And then I thought, well, I'm going to see if there's any help on the YouTube on how to roll these things. So I go to the YouTube machine, and everybody there is showing blanching or boiling the cabbage first, and then you just
Whole.
yes,
Right.
and then you just peel away the leaves, and it's a piece of cake. So should I ever make them again? And actually, I don't think they're that labor intensive. I think lasagna is a lot harder than the cabbage rolls. But
Really?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I never had a problem with lasagna.
Oh my gosh. Well, I guess you don't make it like I do.
I guess not.
Yeah. No, that's a big job.
It's just layering.
You got to make the cheesy thing. You got to make the sauce. You got to spread the cheese. It no. You got to cook the lasagna noodles. You got to rinse them. You got to cool them. Yeah. But I think I'll make some lasagna one of these days coming up.
There you go. I used to make mine with meat and sausage, a meat layer and then a sausage layer.
Oh,
with ricotta and
yeah,
everything else that goes along with it. But yeah,
no, I combine the meat, the ground beef, and the Italian sausage in the sauce. Yeah, it's pretty good.
You can get the no bake. I mean, the no boil noodles. They're a pain in the work with, I think.
Really?
I think so, because they don't. If they broke nicely, so you can get into the corners and stuff like that, that would be one thing. But when you try and break it, it like does a weird break. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, I think if they perforated each of the sheets, that might make it a little bit easier. But they don't. At least last I used them, they don't. They're just solid, and then you try and break it. And like I said, it gets all wonky, and you're like, well, that's not what I wanted. So.
But I've had so much cabbage in the last couple weeks that I think I better cut it for at least a couple weeks before I go back and have more cabbage.
So good for you. I eat cabbage all the time, every week.
Really?
I love cabbage. Raw, cooked.
But I do too. But these last couple weeks, like when I make something, it becomes dinner for the next 3 or how many days. So, yeah. I'll tell you one thing. It's great for the digestive system, if you know what I mean.
Cabbage
keeps the old gal regular.
So good for you. So good for you.
Yeah. So if you ever run across this recipe, don't do what she says. You gotta blanch or boil the cabbage whole first.
Right. And speaking of recipes, we did give the pickled watermelon rinds to the family as a nice little surprise. And did Marcia reach out to you?
She did. She said they were good.
Yes, she did. She called me as well and said that she really, really liked them. And then I told her that I had extra of the syrup left over, and I was making my little sodas with mixing a little bit of that syrup with some seltzer water over ice. And I had a glass of it yesterday. It's still good.
Yeah?
So good. It's extra sweet. I put in the same amount I did for the homemade ginger ale. And I would cut that back the next time I make a glass, because it was a little too sweet that way.
And what kind of water do you use?
Seltzer water. I have a machine here, so I make my own. Yes. So it's good to hear that she enjoyed them as well. And she was
and
very
you
impressed.
like them too, right?
I did. I haven't opened my jar yet, but I tried them before I jarred them, and it's very tasty. So
yeah, I haven't tried mine yet either.
Yeah, I figured I'll wait until I have some people over and put it out as. I was going to put them out as an appetizer for the Oktoberfest at my house, but then I was afraid that people weren't going to like them and they weren't going to take their damn jars with them. So
that was really good thinking on your part.
So I said, nope, they're going to have to try them at home.
Get them out of the house.
That's exactly right.
And I made the lovely little labels for him.
You did. We're going to have pictures of all that as a photo montage of our making of pickled watermelon rinds. We'll post that in conjunction with the release of this episode.
Yeah, good, good.
Yes.
Good thinking.
And then you had a nice phone conversation.
Oh my gosh. My friend from high school, so this is like 60 years I've known this gal.
Mm-hmm.
We have been trying to connect probably for the last 4 years. I mean, I saw her like 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago when I went back for my brother's burial. But it's like, it's one of those things when you've known somebody that long, you just start talking. And 5 hours later, we
Yeah.
finally decided it was time to end the phone call. And it's just, I can't express enough how nice it is to have somebody in your life that long and with memories that go back that far and we can actually remember them and just laugh about some of this stuff. And of course, she filled me in with her kids and her family and stuff like that. But it was just Lady Sharon, who
Lady
I call her
Sharon.
now.
My Sharona.
Lady Sharon, you better be listening to this. It was so nice catching up with you again. And
Aw.
I'm seriously thinking of maybe planning a trip back to the Midwest maybe next fall. You seeing my family, seeing her. I'd love to go downtown Chicago again. The food, oh my gosh. And I'm talking real good food, like the Chicago style hot dogs, the deep dish pizza, the Italian beef sandwiches. I'm talking about the good food. So we did that the last time I saw her. We went to one of the hot dog places. She says now every time she goes there, she thinks of me. Isn't that sweet?
Aw. That is
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah.
Well, that would be a lovely trip back.
It would.
Nice.
Don't want to go in the summertime because it gets so hot and humid. And I forgot. She really let me know, reminded me how bad it can get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gross.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And
Nice.
the housing back there, because a few years ago when I was thinking maybe it's time to move someplace at a lower altitude and stuff. And I looked at her neighborhood, her town, and the houses there are really not bad price wise.
Mm-hmm.
And you get like a nice house with some land, like an acre or a little less than an acre.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm telling her this, and I said, your poor husband, I could just hear, Chip, could you come and fix my water heater? And she laughed. She says, oh, he gets that all the time from me. But anyway, there were houses on each side of her had sold in the last few years.
Huh.
So we could have been next door neighbors too. But oh well.
Mm.
I like it here in Colorado.
Yep. Can't beat the climate.
No, no.
All right. Now it's time for Auntie
Oh.
Joan's Fun Facts.
It's raining, it's pouring, the old man is snoring. Well,
He bumped his head and wet the bed, and
bed
something
and he
like
couldn't get up in the morning. Well, somewhere I read that is actually a warning for head injuries, for concussions and such. Another take on it is that it described somebody who drank too much.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
No, I know you wouldn't. And so that got me to thinking, well, what about some of these other? Oh, yeah. It's a cautionary tale about a man who drank too much and died, and a description of a head injury. That was one of the takes on it. So that caused me to think, well, what about some of these other nursery rhymes that we used to hear all the time? Let's see. Mary, Mary, quite contrary.
How did your garden grow?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Well, they say that the rhyme refers to the Catholic monarch Mary the First of England, also known as Bloody Mary. And they say that the garden in the verse is England, and the contrariness mentioned alludes to her bloody persecution of Protestants.
Oh.
Yes. As for the silver bells and cockle shells, they were torture devices used by Queen Mary's executioners on her Protestant subjects.
Nice.
So,
Let's keep
yeah.
those nursery rhymes going. Get these kids singing about massacres. It's fantastic.
Humpty Dumpty.
Sat on a wall.
Humpty Dumpty had a great fall.
Mm-hmm.
But supposedly this nursery rhyme is borrowed from military history. It turns out Humpty Dumpty was a gigantic cannon that royalists employed during the English Civil War in 1648. They set the cannon up on top of the St. Mary at the Walls church tower, where it remained until enemy forces blew up the building and Humpty took his infamous fall.
Uh-huh.
Now, see, these are fun facts, aren't they?
They sure are.
Jack and Jill.
That's very sexual oriented.
What was Jill
Fetch a pail of water.
after?
I'll give you a fetch a pail of water.
Historians say that the story commemorates a love affair between an unmarried couple who regularly met on a hill for romantic trysts.
Mm-hmm.
According to the legend, Jill became pregnant, but Jack died just before the birth of their child. He either fell from the hill or got knocked in the head by a falling rock. In turn, Jill died in childbirth, tumbling after her clandestine lover.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Ring around the rosy, pocket full of posies, ashes, ashes, we all fall down. They say that some believe that the rhyme refers to the bubonic plague.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that.
Oh, did you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The ring around the rosy would refer to the red rash that it was a symptom of the plague, while pocket full of posies would refer to the flowers people carried to mask the smell of death. And then the ashes, ashes would be they had to cremate the bodies, burn the bodies
to not
get
spread
rid
the
of
plague.
them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So another fun fact.
Thank you for sharing, Auntie Joan.
Auntie Joan. I guess we're starting to get a theme here. It should be dark facts, I guess. Maybe it seems that's direction
okay.
I have a tendency to go in. One of these days, just keep tuning in. There'll be a fun fact for you. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Now we're on to the part of our program where we discuss what we are watching. And today we are watching Found. It is on the NBC/Peacock. And we are in season 2 this year. It's something that I started watching last year. And the little synopsis from IMDb says, each year, over 600,000 people are reported missing in the United States. Gabby Mosley, the lead character, and her crisis management team use unorthodox methods to find the forgotten people. Now, in the first season, I was on the fence about this show. I'm not going to lie. I did not find the acting to be very good, I hate to say. I think they're finally getting into a groove with the second season, but what has me coming back every time is Zach from Saved by the Bell, better known as Mark Paul Gosselaar. Gosselaar? Back in the day, he was in Saved by the Bell, and he was a teenage little punk kid, blonde head, was the most popular boy in the school, and had the prettiest girl, and blah, blah, blah. And they got into silly little antics in the high school. I watched this in my 20s and 30s, kids. Yeah, I know. It's pathetic and sad, but I did. But he has since matured and moved on to, he was in Law and Order, I think the original, not like SVU, if I recall correctly. He was a police officer on that for a few, maybe 5, maybe more seasons, I don't know. But in this, he is a disturbed gentleman. They call him Sir. and he was
Oh,
the
yeah.
abductor of Gabby Mosley when she was a teenager. He was her English teacher, I think English.
Mm.
And he got to know her and preyed on her, and she had a father who was an alcoholic, so he preyed on her in a nutshell, and he ended up abducting her and kept her for a few years, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
I think it was a few years. And they flash back to that quite a bit during, so you get more of the
Hmm.
backstory and all that wonderful stuff. As a teenager, she was very smart and very into reading, and she read a lot of the classics and things like that. So they instantly formed a bond. He gave her a reading list for the sophomore. I think she was a sophomore when he abducted her, and gave her the sophomore reading list. And she's like, oh, I read all these over the summer, kind of thing. So then he gave her the junior reading list. Very much intrigued by her mind and how much she loved to read and things like that. So when he abducted her all those years ago, they would read together, read excerpts from classic books or new books that he brought into where he was keeping her. And then he got her a friend at one point. He abducted another child, so she had somebody to be with her. And then they ultimately end up escaping. And then years later, I don't know how old she's supposed to be now. I'm going to go out on a limb and say in her 30s. I don't know.
I would think so, yeah.
Right? She abducted him now and keeps him in her basement. And he has such a brilliant and twisted mind. She is leveraging him for insights on how to find missing people that the police are either stumped about or aren't investigating thoroughly or gave up on because they couldn't find them or whatever. And with his twisted mind, he's able to help her put the pieces together as to where what the profile of the person was that either took them or whatever, or what the person themselves was like and how they may have been attracted to, somebody who took them or whatever the case may be. It's interesting in season 2, well, at the end of season 1, which I didn't even know if these last 2 episodes happened, to be honest with you, until season 2 came out and I saw the recap just before the episode started of season 2, episode 1. And I'm like, I don't remember that. What are they talking about? So then I went back to season 1 and realized I missed the last 2 episodes. I thought it was only 8 episodes. It was 10 episodes. He escapes at the end of the last episode. And for season 1. So season 2 is it's all chaos so far. Oh, and speaking of chaos, a little side note. Our show Chaos on Netflix that we talked about a few episodes ago, unfortunately, has been canceled after one season by Netflix. Sorry for that little segue. I just had to get that out because I'm deeply disappointed. Antie Joan is sad about it. It was so good. Jeff Goldblum, I swear, I don't think people gave that series its rightful due. I think you had to hang in there past the first episode and even halfway through the second episode, and then it really, really takes off. And I know a lot of people say there's so much content out there, so if I'm not grabbed right away, I just walk away. Sometimes you have to let the characters develop and you have to let the storyline develop to really get into it.
Like Found?
Like Found. Yeah, because you're not into it, I can tell. I get it.
It's just some shows that they do give them a second season to kind of build on it.
Yes.
I was just really disappointed to see that they didn't do that. Maybe Jeff Goldblum has too much on his plate and he can't do it.
That wasn't how I read the article. It was more that they got canceled, not that they decided not to do it again. Very, very sad. But back to Found. Go ahead.
Yes, okay.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say some shows are saved by a mass of people complaining. So maybe if all of our fans wrote to
our
Netflix.
Listener writes to Netflix.
Okay, back to Found.
Back to Found. So, Antie Joan, I know you just started Found because I said I wanted to talk about this one. And I know you're only a few episodes in on season 1. What are your thoughts on the show thus far?
Shows like Found are the reason I watch the British mystery and police shows. I find Found too slick at the beginning. Now, granted, look at the age, but when she starts talking to some of the people in her group, she's just like, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. It's just too much. By slick, I mean all the characters, all the actors and actresses, they're presented slickly, nicely dressed. She wears Gabby, is that her name? She walks around in, high heels and rolled up blue jeans and stuff like that. And okay, I mean, that's just me. And probably that's what people want to see. I don't care. I want to see the British stuff where you see their moles and
Well, I think that's predominantly with Gabby or what's her real name? So you can call her by her real name. Shanola Hampton. I agree. When I see her in heels, I'm like, how you running after somebody in that?
Yeah.
Like you can't run after. And I mean, we're talking stilettos, folks. We're not talking just, a little wedge heel or something like that. We're talking stilettos she's wearing. And as a matter of fact, it was either first or second episode of season 2, she comes walking down the stairs into her basement, and they show her stilettos coming down the stairs, and I'm just like, what if he's hiding down there and he's going to and you've got your stupid stilettos on? First of all, who wears their stilettos inside their own house? The minute you come in the door, the first thing most women do is kick off your freaking high heel shoes because they hurt your goddamn feet all day. You know what I mean?
Interject?
Yeah.
I just interject something. I worked with a woman when I was a computer operator. I worked with a woman who wore 3-inch heels, running the computers, running the printers. And I said, boy, I bet you can't wait till you get home and take those off. And she says, no, I have high heel slippers too. She always wore heels.
Yes, but that was not the norm. And it's not the norm today either. Most people kick off their shoes, their high heels, when they walk in the door. Yes. So the fact that she was, not only was she still wearing them, but she was going down the stairs to possibly, he wasn't there, but he could have been hiding or whatever. And I'm just like, seriously? So I totally get that. The other characters, however, he's a little bit more polished because they're showing him as an anal retentive sir. I'm talking about the character sir as an anal retentive, very prim and proper psychopath. So he is more tailored as well when he's not in her basement, but when they flash back and things like that. But the rest of the cast, I don't think is overly polished. Personally, I think they're mostly in everyday kind of stuff.
What about that woman with the long dark hair?
Lacey Quinn.
Is that her?
Yeah,
she's pretty polished, I think.
It doesn't come across polished to me. It comes across as young.
Yeah,
because her boobs are hanging out and stuff. You know what I mean? Like she's young and doesn't know how to dress properly for an office environment. That's how I interpret that. But I wouldn't call that polish. I would call that being young and not knowing what she's supposed to do. But right, Gabby, 100%, I'm there with you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, give me the old alcoholic broads on the British shows, and I'm happy.
Yeah, and they have one character who is an agoraphobe, so he doesn't go outside. Yeah. But he's got this big, huge computer setup going on, and I think he's the one that had the he's got money from something, a trust or an inheritance or something, and he actually is putting money back into the business, but he can't leave his house. He passes out if he tries to walk out his front door in an anxiety-ridden state, and then he'll pass out. And then this other woman who's in it, I guess she was in The Practice back in the day, which was a lawyer show back in the 90s, Little Role in Ally McBeal, things like that. Her son was abducted from a bus station, and she has some kind of photographic memory or photographic way of looking at crime scenes. So they send her in, and she kind of almost looks like mini snapshots with her eyes of the whole scene and kind of helps tie it all together. She also has a barometer or some way of knowing if people are lying. So they bring her into interrogations and things like that. She's basically their bullshit meter. They don't call her that, but that's what she is. But she's been in lots of stuff in the past. I do like her, although I don't love her in this. She does go back to the bus station every night at 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock or whatever, where her son was abducted, waiting for her son. Her son's been gone for I don't even know. What is he like? He's probably in his, I mean, he was younger when he got abducted. I would say like 8 or 9 when he got abducted. And they did a rendering of him in his late teens, early 20s. I mean, he's been gone a long time, but she goes every single night. She's got an obsessive compulsive mannerism to go back and do that every night. She's also going to a therapist to try and curb that a little bit. Although in the latest episode, she still hasn't. So I don't think therapy's working. But it's an interesting premise. They, like I said, they look for people who have been forgotten or the police aren't giving enough attention to.
Yeah.
Would love for that to actually be something that really is happening in real life. I don't know if there's any agencies really like that doing what they're doing. I think that would be a cool thing. But I also, like, Gabby was a bit of an over actor, in my opinion, in the first season, or just couldn't get into her groove. And I think she's doing a little bit better for the first couple of episodes of season 2 thus far. But yeah, it's Mark Paul Gosselaar that has me coming back, because he is just a twisted character on this, and I like that.
When you started describing the different characters and stuff, I just had this brief flash. This almost sounds like the whole premise of the show was done by AI. I mean, they're picking all these little things that, have maybe worked in the past and stuff, and then kind of put them all together and jumble them up and say, okay, here we go.
In what way?
That's, well, like, okay, the woman whose son disappeared was taken, and she goes back every night to see him. The guy who's the agoraphobic, but yeah. And then her, Gabby, with her stuff, it's
right
being held. Yeah.
And then Lacey, the one that doesn't know how to dress as a younger person yet, was the second person that Sir abducted for.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
For Gabby. So she's grown up.
Oh, the second.
Yes.
Oh.
So the little girl that he brought to Gabby when she was a teenager in that house, that dilapidated house that he had her locked in, that second girl that he brought in is Lacey.
Oh, the second girl. Okay. Yeah. That's what I thought. Yeah.
And then you have this other character, Don Rana, played by Karan Oberoi. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. And he has PTSD. He was in the military. I think he was in some kind of special forces. Yeah. And so he's an interesting duck too. I see what you're saying. So basically you're right. Like from an AI mashup of these people who have these incredible backstories end up finding each other into this one agency is pretty far-fetched, to say the least. But I'm gonna give it season 2 and see how we go, unless the storyline. But I'm interested with Sir had escaped, and without him, what's the point of the show? Like he was so intertwined in the first season, and he's still intertwined in the second season because now he's on the run. I don't see where this is going. I don't know if there will be anything beyond a season 2. So I'm going to hang in there for season 2, see how it goes. So I would say I'm not a full thumbs up. It's entertaining. You got to kind of turn a little bit of a blind eye to some of the acting that's not so great. But Mark does an amazing job as Sir. It's just so interesting for me to see him go from this silly, jovial young boy playing in Saved by the Bell, these characters, to this, psychopath that he's playing now. And he's doing a really good job with it. So that's what's really got me coming back. And Auntie Joan, are you going to watch anything beyond the 3 episodes that you saw?
I don't know. Maybe I'll tune into the first of the second season. But my take is, if you want to watch good detective shows, invest in Acorn TV and you'll be set.
I don't know about that. Those I've seen quite a few of those as well. And yes, they're definitely more, dressed like a normal person and are normal looking and things like that. It's not your typical glam Hollywood actresses playing these roles or actors playing these roles. But some of the storylines can get kind of silly too. And it can be a little far-fetched from time to time.
Thank you for your opinion.
You're welcome. Just like you gave yours. I thought that's what we do on this show, or no?
Absolutely.
Okay. But that's what I'm trying to say. Not everybody thinks that they're the end all be all. And I'm saying,
I mean, Found will probably be winning Emmys next year based
I doubt that.
on our reviews of shows.
No, 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 no. I would highly, highly doubt that.
We
Unless Mark Paul, if he wins an Emmy for something, that would make sense to me. Anybody
well
else in the cast? I can't see it.
well based on like Chaos, I mean, which we raved about,
Mm-hmm.
and that is canceled.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some other shows that we've really liked or disliked that
Mm-hmm.
went on to, like The Bear that did so well with the Emmys and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So, it's just our opinion and we're sticking to them. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Now we're on to the part of our program where we discuss commercials we have to talk about. Auntie Joan, what you got for us today?
I cannot believe we haven't covered this already. It's the Progressive commercials with Flo and company. Flo and Jamie and some of the other ones. And this particular one that I sent you the link to, I thought of right away when you were talking about your trip to Europe and you went to Monaco
Mm-hmm.
and you saw all the influencers there.
Yes.
Yes. So
Ah.
this commercial where she's talking to a fella standing at this beautiful mountain view and saying how peaceful and wonderful it is, and they hope that it doesn't get spoiled. And then all of a sudden they hear somebody say, "Are you finished yet?" And then you turn around and here's this whole line of people waiting to go and have their pictures taken in front of this beautiful view. And the first one up there is an influencer, and she's got her little iPhone with the telescoping handle, and she
Mm-hmm.
starts with the, "Oh, hi everyone, I'm just enjoying some peace and calm here." And it's
No, what she says is hello, fan.
Oh, okay.
Singular, like we do.
Oh,
Like
did
listener.
she?
Yes. I caught that the first time I saw it. I was like, oh my God, that's hysterical.
Okay, I gotta listen to it again.
Or this is for my fan or something like that, but it's singular like we do it.
It's so indicative of how I picture these influencers and how full of shit they are. Phony, fake. Anyway,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, indeed.
But I think Progressive, they nailed it when they hired this advertising company, because they do this one and then they do the other one. What is it? Professor Steve or whatever his name was, the one
Yes.
that does the baby boomers. And
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Or the new homeowners.
Oh, no.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, he is Progressive. That's right.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Not Geico, right?
No, Progressive.
Progressive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They nail it. Yeah.
They have a really good advertising agency.
They
for
keep
sure.
me entertained.
Yeah. And I like it. The one episode. Yeah. The one commercial where they said something about somebody thought Jamie was the boss or something like that. And they all started laughing because that's just funny.
And when Flo plays her sister.
Oh my God. And she's got all that stuff in her house. And she's constantly buying stuff online. And can this be insured? And then she gives, that is just so funny. She was she was one of the friends of the mother on the Goldbergs when I used to watch that show.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I kept looking at her going, God, she looks so familiar. And then I'm like, oh my God, is that Flo? And I never looked it up. And I just did before we started recording this episode. And I was like, it was her. Okay. I knew I remember seeing her like in a group of people. And I was just like, God, I think that's her. So she's very good.
I didn't care much for Jamie. I thought he was a bit much, but I've kind of grown to like him now too.
Yes. I think when he first started with the commercials, I agree. I thought he was a little over the top. But now I thoroughly enjoy the dynamic of the group they have doing these commercials, and the one that talks really depressed.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I like her too.
And she meets her parents.
They're all perky, the hippies, driving around on motorcycles. Motorcycles, right? Yeah.
And I do like the one where Flo got robbed. And Jamie's out. They meet in the hallway, and she's got her leg warmers on.
Yes.
And
it's from the 80s, and they took what were her VCR or something like that.
Yeah,
And yes,
yeah.
very silly. I do like those commercials a lot.
And he's got one of those Walkman on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I still have my Walkman.
Oh I'm sure you do, actually. I was going to say I was surprised, but no, I'm not at all. You probably have all your baby teeth somewhere too.
No, my parents wouldn't have done that.
Oh.
I wish they had.
Why? Gross.
You can
I found a lot of that when I was cleaning out my parents' house, so that was
baby
gross
teeth.
oh yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, you can make some cool stuff with
Nope,
that. Oh,
garbage.
Yes. Oh no
Garbage.
no.
Gross. No.
Oh my gosh, you need
No.
to open up your creative
No.
chakra.
No, I'm okay with that. Stuff needs to go.
Get that third chakra open.
Yeah, my third eye. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, third eye shock. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that Prince when he was on SNL? And it was towards the end of his life. And he wore this like third eye sunglasses. He had like two round sunglass lenses,
Mhm.
and then centered above it was another one.
Oh.
Like he was
yes.
protecting his third eye.
That's hysterical.
Mhm, mhm.
So yes, we'll have a link to the Flow Progressive commercial where they're at that little lake when the influencer comes in, because that is a good one. We'll include that one. But there's so many out there, folks. Gosh, if you don't know what we're talking about, you must be living ad-free because progressive commercials are everywhere all the time.
Oh, and you know what other one is they're showing again is that goofy little kid pulling the tablecloth out again.
I haven't seen
I've
it.
seen that. Oh, I've seen that several
Auntie
times.
Joan has a real problem with that. We talked about that in a previous episode.
I know. I hate it. I hate it.
I know.
Rotten little brat.
All right, Auntie Joan. Anything else for our listener today?
No, I think I've said enough.
All right, then that wraps it for yet another wonderful episode of the Pickled Watermelon Rinds. This is Auntie signing off.
And Antie Joan saying bye-bye now.
We thank you for listening. And remember, when life eats away at your core, make pickled watermelon rinds.